Speaking of Haley Bennett, does anyone else out there think that she looks a lot like Jennifer Lawrence? Hey everybody, welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to be reviewing Girl on the Train, and this movie stars Emily Blunt, Rebecca Ferguson, and Haley Bennett. Speaking of Haley Bennett, does anyone else out there think that she looks a lot like Jennifer Lawrence? So the premise of this movie is basically Emily Blunt's character, whose name is Rachel, becomes entangled in a missing persons investigation, which kind of sends her life into a whirlwind of chaos. So if you don't know already, the Girl on the Train is a book, and I actually went ahead and got it on Audible months ago. So I knew the ending of the story. Obviously, I knew the whole story going in. Now, one of the big things with book to movie adaptation is sometimes it doesn't translate well. And one of my fears in this movie is that the story, because it's quite complex and all these characters have so many layers and mysteries that you have to unravel, that it may not translate well. And I worried that the people who are going in to see this movie without having read the book may come out feeling a little confused, and maybe they wouldn't like the movie. Well, unfortunately, my fears came true, because while I sat there, I completely understood what everything was going on, but I felt that certain people around me, they were kind of, you know how you hear little whispers in the theaters? Well, they were definitely whispering, and they're kind of asking, their friends, like, what's going on here? Well, what's their motivation, this and that. And the transition of the movie, because this movie, it's not just from Emily Blunt's point of view. It tells from three different characters' point of view. So it's Rachel, Anna, and Megan. And in the book, they did it very well, because each woman's point of view, in a sense, was a chapter. So they tried to translate that into the movie by putting up a title card that would say Megan, Anna, Rachel. And for me, that kind of just made it very, like, a really awkward transition, and I'm sure it wasn't meant to be. I also thought the direction for certain scenes were a little bit awkward, as they would stay on a character just a tad bit too long. And I understand it's an intense moment, they're trying to emphasize a point, but for me, that didn't quite work. This movie, I literally can't go in too much into it, because it will spoil the movie. And a lot of people are saying, oh, this is going to be the next Gone Girl. And I had wished that it was going to be like the next Gone Girl, because the novel is that good. Unfortunately, the way the story was told on the screen, it didn't work, and it didn't have the Gone Girl effect. In fact, people were laughing awkwardly at the parts where they shouldn't have laughed at. For example, Rachel, Emily Blunt's character, she is an alcoholic. She abuses alcohol, and she has a lot to drink throughout the movie, and she is this, completely different than anything Emily Blunt has ever played. She is just worn out, self-destructive. She blacks out at everything. She's just a hot mess. She had raccoon eyes and black mascara running down her face the whole time. It's almost comparable, not quite, but the comparison I can make is like Charlize Theron's character in Monster as to Emily Blunt's character's, Rachel in this movie. That kind of transition, not quite as drastic. Obviously, the Monster's transformation was very, very drastic. She looks like a completely different character. Emily Blunt still looked like Emily Blunt, but just very unkempt, not well put together at all. So, they have her kind of stumbling through scenes because she's drunk and she's a mess, and she's trying to figure things out. What happens when this girl goes missing? What does she see on the train? And so she's stumbling through the streets, and people are laughing at it, where it's awkward. I feel like this is not a movie where that's a moment you should laugh. In the book, you feel sorry for the character, where she's struggling to just hold it together and just put one foot in front of another and try to figure out this mystery. Rachel's character has an overactive imagination, and she's been through a lot and because of her drinking, she thinks certain things have happened, and she's really unclear. Her memory is not good because of the drinking. So she really doesn't have an idea of what's going on aside from what people are telling her. So she has this perception of herself from other people because she doesn't even remember who she is or what she did at that moment, which is what makes this story so interesting, because she is trying to, look through the fog of her drunkenness and figure out where is this missing girl, what's happened to her, and did she have something to do with it. But like I said, with the transitions and the extended shots and the very awkward long pauses for this movie, it took me out of it, and it just made me sit there awkwardly while they're trying to translate into the next scene. And also because when they're trying to tell a story from three characters' point of view, they obviously have to go back and you see the scene from another person's perspective. And normally that's really interesting to see. But for this one, I was just kind of tired of it, and I wish they really just told the story from a single person's point of view and did the reveal at the end instead. Now, just because I didn't like the direction and some of the editing of the movie does not mean I didn't like the performance. I thought all three actresses gave a phenomenal performance, especially Haley Bennett. She is just, I think she's going to shoot straight up to the top, and she's got a bright future ahead of her. Emily Blunt is fantastic in this movie, as I expected her to be, as well as Rebecca Ferguson. To wrap up this review, I enjoyed the performances by the three actresses. I thought the direction was a little jarring, the editing sometimes a little awkward. I thought the title cards and the jump in the timeline also, I didn't mention that earlier, they were kind of, present day, back few months, present day, a day ago, present day, 6 months ago, and it becomes very confusing for the audience to keep trying to keep track of it. And I think that's where a lot of confusion for will come from for a lot of the people who haven't read the book. So with that said, I enjoyed the performances by the actresses. I thought the editing and the direction could take a little work. I prefer the book over the movie, and I didn't think it translated well at all. I'm actually quite disappointed because I wanted to like this movie and I wanted to do well so much. And if you haven't yet, go out and get the book on Audible, or if you still enjoy reading books because you have space for it. I don't have space anymore, which is why I go to Audible. Go ahead and treat yourself to the book. It's so good. And if you have listened to the audio version of this book, Emily Blunt's character, or actually should I say Emily Blunt, the way she spoke as Rachel sounded exactly like the narrator. And for me, that's something little and small, and I feel like I'm nitpicking, but I actually really, really enjoy seeing that. So my score for this movie is 5 out of 10. Alright guys, if you've seen this movie, go ahead and comment your thoughts below, and don't forget to thumbs up this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.